Okay. It says we're live. So we are live. Well, we had a lovely evening of technical issues here so far. We're going to get through all that. We're going to get, hopefully, maybe Chuck can join us. Maybe Eddie can join us too as we get started here. And hopefully everything is good on my end. It's been technical issue city for us, it seems, but that's okay. That's how it goes with the internet when you're doing stuff like this, I guess, right? Welcome everybody to the August edition of the Astronomical Society of Southeast Texas. We are a nonprofit club based here in Beaumont, Texas, and it's a beautiful club. Lots of really knowledgeable people that gather in person typically, but not since the pandemic, of course. We gather once a month here in Beaumont, Texas, and so since we're not having our in-person meetings at the planetarium here in Beaumont, we figured we'll just do them online until we can meet again in person. And it's actually been a pretty cool thing. It allows some people from all over the world to join in on our astronomy meetings, which is really cool. We appreciate all of y'all coming and hanging out. We had planned to be with us Mr. Chuck Ferguson, who is the vice president of the Astronomical Society of Southeast Texas. But his internet is really slow, unfortunately, and it doesn't allow it to work very well. But Chuck is out there somewhere. I know he is. Hopefully he's able to pick it up and watch. Hopefully we can get him some better internet signals. Maybe the satellite will get better as time goes on. Who knows? But Chuck is here with us in spirit. He was just in here and then his thing dropped him out. That's the way it goes. Eddie Trevino hopefully will show up in a little bit. Give us a treasurer's report and a solar report, which he has for us, which should be good. Had to hit the start button because the way it works on Facebook, it'll cancel the event if you don't go live. So we had to go live right when we did. Normally I'd push it back a few minutes, but here we are. We're going to do a quick little thing and give you guys an update on what the Astronomy Club of Southeast Texas is up to and or what's coming up as far as events that we normally frequent. And we're going to get to that. Okay, there's Eddie. Eddie just popped in. There he is, Mr. Eddie.
Hey, Will. Sorry I'm a bit late.
That's okay.
Things going on.
Yeah, that's what. And then we had Chuck in here, and he had it bounced him out, but he's having so many technical issues with his internet. But I guess that's what the trade-off you get for living way out in the country where it's awesome and you're far away from people, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, good to see you, Eddie. How you been?
I'm good. How have you been, Will?
Pretty good. Staying indoors as much as possible, and trying to enjoy the night sky outside in the backyard as much as possible too. I've been out doing a little bit of what was it, Perseids, the last couple of nights or whatever, and I had marginal results. I'm in light polluted groves down here in Texas, so it is what it is. I saw some pretty good ones though. Some of the ones that were coming out of the Delta Aquariids were pretty good. Did you get to check any of them out or anything?
I did not. I have not been out at night in quite some time, Will. And when I do go out, I've got binoculars and my very limited telescope, the 80mm refractor. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a beautiful scope though to have, especially, because wide field is there's never anything wrong with wide field. Welcome everybody to the chat. All of y'all that are just joining in with us. Lester Christopher, Frank Randy, Dakota Hillard. Lester says, headed to the mountains to do some observing. Have a good time. Nice. Hope you get to see some good stuff, Lester. Joe says, I bet the solar report will be the star attraction. I wish I had that signal that I don't have that.
Yeah.
Awesome. So let's just get into it if we shall, and then we'll do some quick updating tonight, and we'll do some crowd precipitation, some crowd participation, and then we'll call the August meeting adjourned. So I call it into order, as if we've never done that before in person, though. I call this meeting into order. Yeah, Eddie seconds it, and then that's all you get right there. So, all right, we're going to go ahead and get rolling here, and I'm going to switch screens. And it looks like let's see. Do we have Chuck back? I don't know. I'll add him in, and then we'll see what happens if if we can hear him, if he can hear us, maybe might be good. I do see him. We at least have his video.
I hear you now.
Okay, and it may just be a little bit of a
hear
lag.
You now.
Okay, cool.
Hey, Chuck.
Hi, Eddie. Hello, Eddie.
How you doing, sir?
So,
and
we'll
it seems
give it
to
a
be
shot.
working. Yeah, it seems to be working without too much lag, so we can work with that. So let's roll forward, and hopefully we can get Chuck to give us this Parker Solar Probe presentation. So, yes, again, we are the Astronomical Society of Southeast Texas. We shortened it to ASSET because that's what science communities do. They take a long thing and then shorten it, and that's what we've done here. We are a 501c3, which is, a nonprofit based out of Beaumont, Texas, and we do a lot of outreach and all that fun stuff for the community. Not right now, but usually when time goes on. And so I want to welcome the visitors. I know there's a lot of visitors out there. We'll go through some of those right now while we're just here, sitting here welcoming everybody in. We've got Carl Dunn here. Says, hey, Will and Eddie. Cosmos Carl here. How you doing, Carl? Good to see you.
Hey, Carl.
A new member of our club.
Hello, Carl.
And Mr. Howard Miner, the one and only. If you ever go to the Okie Tech Star Party, you're going to hear a bunch of people yelling Howard's name out in the darkness, but it's not actually his name, but it is his name, so it's not a lie. But it's great to see Howard and Jane here. We miss you guys. Hope y'all are doing well out there in Central Texas-ish. Still Southeast Texas, basically. But Bill and Mary Dixon are in the house, longtime members of the club. Good to see Bill and Mary here, as always. And Steve Olson. Hey, kids. Hello from Venus. That's a warm day up there, Steve. It's always a warm day on Venus. Sharon Rigsby. How you doing, Sharon Rigsby? Great to see you. Glad to see you. Sharon's not really a visitor, but we will, we'll recognize her during this segment because Sharon's awesome. She runs the planetarium for us when we have our in-person meetings. So Sharon, welcome as always. Good to see you. And Stephen Hummel, the man, the myth, the legend out at McDonald Observatory says, just chiming in to say hi before I have to work. Because, when you're working observatory, you work at night. You know what I'm saying? So Stephen Hummel's the man. And so good to see you, Stephen. And typically he and I do space broadcasts, but tonight he's got some work to do. And we've got an astronomy meeting to run. So here we go. We're going to get right on into it because we got some cool stuff. It'll be a shorter meeting tonight, but that's okay because, it's our meeting. We can do whatever we want to with it, right? So here we go. I always start the meetings off with some kind of stupid meme or something. And this one caught my eye from Facebook, and I thought it was pretty funny. And I'm not going to read it because I think everybody can read it for themselves. What I'll do is I'll provide even dumber commentary over the top of it to make it hilarious somehow. And so there it is. Take that one. Give it to your friends. Send it to your buddies that like dad jokes for whatever reason, and they'll have a good time with it. And then I found another one, which was pretty funny. This one seems to be the way it goes for those of y'all that live in or around Texas. Depending on where you're at, this is pretty much the way it goes. If there's something cool coming, well, look at the clouds. I will say though that
it's good.
I will say though that the last few nights for the Perseids have been pretty good here, in Groves or whatever, which we're down in the very small corner of Texas, but not bad. We had some puffy cumulus clouds roll in every here and there as per normal, but pretty clear. I just didn't see a whole lot of meteor action, and I rolled video for a lot of it with my camera, which is way more sensitive than my eye. And so far on my pen and pad over here, I have like 5 meteors.
Wow.
Like 2 hours of observing. And granted, I'm only in one small part of the sky. But hey, there's Kat. How you doing, Kat?
Hello, Kat.
They're saying hello.
He's like,
sorry, I can't hear you. Hello.
He's like, hey, you can't hear them, but they're saying hello. What's up, Kat? How are you doing?
Good. How are y'all?
We're doing very well. We're super stoked to see you on the stream.
Yay.
That's awesome. Eddie and Kat again, long time Beaumonters normally, and they're our treasurers for the club. So we have a good portion of the board here tonight, which is fun. I will recognize a couple people in the chat before we keep moving on. Dodie Reagan from Dallas. What's up? How you doing, Dodie? No, Dodie from El Dorado Star Party. And I think maybe even Texas, but definitely El Dorado Star Party. Joe says you should have named it Asset Texas. S-E-T-X. Whatever. Asset Tex. I don't know. I better stop saying it before I mess it up. Research shows that the X will get better ratings. That's probably true because there's so few X's out there. Catherine says, is it too late to see the meteors? No, I think you're still should be able to see them for another day or two. There's always early birds and stragglers with meteor showers. So you get some early and you get some a little after. And we're still, I think, getting some Delta Aquariids in there too. So it's a good time if you want to grab a blanket and go out and lay down flat on the ground and just look up and try to take as much in the sky in as you can. And you should be able to see quite a bit, just depending on, what's going on up there. Brian Gillette says, hello from Fort Worth, Texas. She says, yep. Dodie says, yeah, because El Dorado is coming up. We're going to talk about El Dorado in like 60 seconds here. So let's get away from this dumb meme, which is just silly. But I like dumb memes. They're funny. What I want to do is, we usually do a segment at the club where, if somebody's been out observing with their binoculars, with their naked eye, like I was talking about going out with the Perseids and stuff. If you've done any observing, put it down in the chat. And because I know that we're on a little time delay here. So put it down in the chat. Tell us what you've been out observing. I'm going to flash them on the screen. And, so then you can be a part of the program that way. And then what I'll do is I'll defer down to Mr. Eddie Trevino and talk about what he's been observing lately. I think he pretty much summed it up with a little bit of the Perseids and stuff. But Eddie, has there been anything else you've been doing any lunar lately?
Nothing, Will. The last thing that I observed through my telescope, unfortunately, was the comet Neowise. Had some good luck with that. I was able to see it off the back balcony of our third floor apartment, so that made it very convenient. Of course, I was looking over the sky glow of the city, so it disappeared pretty quick on me.
Yeah, that's the way that one went. It was a great comet, but it was it was like, okay, there it is. What about you, Chuck? Have you been able to get out and observe any? I know you live way out in the country. That's why your internet's bad, but the skies are probably good, right? Probably makes up for it. He'll get it eventually. He'll hear it eventually.
We'll just act like he's on the moon or something, and there's a
delay. Yeah.
When they're not cloudy, yeah, I get out in the backyard and I can see quite a bit. Oh, I heard you.
Okay, good. Yeah, just a little bit of a lag there. Steve Olson said he's been looking at the Lagoon Nebula, which is really cool. The
big
Lagoon
delay.
Big delay. Yeah, that's the way it goes with that. But at least we've got you connected anyway, so you're locked in. There we go. Carl Dunn says he observed
when the clouds.
Yeah, that's Carl Dunn says observed Neowise C2020 F3 on a recent trip to Illinois. Several observations of Saturn and Jupiter. Yeah, Saturn and Jupiter are back. You got to love that.
At least this time.
Yeah, I don't remember what he's responding to there, but that'll be fun to try to figure that out all night. Bob Snyder says greetings from Austin. What's up, dude? How you doing, Bob? Good to see you, man. Missed you at all the star parties this year. And George Lutch is here, too. We've got a lot of Austin crew in the house tonight. Very cool. We got some Austin. We got some Beaumont people, Terry B. in the house. So good to have y'all. So while we're going to go through the rest of this meeting, throw down your observing reports if you can, if you had any. And we'll get to those as we're going through. I saw this driving home from somewhere the other day. And this was taken from a moving vehicle through a tinted window with an iPhone. So it's not the best shot in the world, but it's a sundog, which is pretty cool. And I notice these things a lot. You know, you don't really, as an astronomer, these are cool, you know, because they're a phenomenon of the sun, right? You know, it's an astronomical thing, but it's not really what you want to see if you're going out to observe, because you need a lot of high clouds and ice crystals way up in the atmosphere to see this stuff. But what a sundog it's formerly called a parhelion in meteorology, and it's an atmospheric optical phenomenon that consists of a bright spot on one or both sides of the sun, and they're usually right across from each other. So if you see one, like this was the left one, if you look to the right, sometimes you'll see one on the right. If there's no clouds over there, you won't. Sometimes you'll see the right one and not the left one. But they're in the sides of the 22-degree halo that the sun produces, and it's by basically the same thing that, you know, when sunlight goes through water droplets, it creates a rainbow. They're going through ice droplets in the upper atmosphere, and it's creating sort of a concentrated rainbow sun kind of thing, which are pretty cool. Again, I notice these things all the time. I notice them more, I think, if I have sunglasses on, especially polarized sunglasses. I don't know if that's a thing, or if I'm just, because it's darkening, you know, the sky, the background star, or the background sky, it kind of brings a contrast out. I don't know, but it is a thing. George says, so unguided with a filter. Yeah, exactly. Unguided astrophotography here with a filter from a moving object. So it's very, very bad conditions. I keep hitting the wrong. I have two computers on this desk, and I keep going back and forth. It's so confusing. Okay, so here we are at the officers' comments, and good thing that we have two officers here. I've got a few things. We'll start with Eddie, who is our treasurer, and hopefully we might even be able to hear from Chuck, although it might be super delayed. So we'll just have to. We'll see what happens. But I think, let's see what I have here, Eddie. If I have the treasurer's report. There we go. Perfect.
Oh, look at that.
There we go.
Hey, it's been a very quiet month. I think probably the biggest news is that we have got a Amazon Smile donation into our bank account.
Oh, yes.
And it's been one of the larger donations. So there's been a lot of people shopping on Amazon that have decided to give it the 0.5% to our club. So thank you, guys.
Absolutely.
No one makes a big difference, but altogether we make a big difference. Did that make sense?
Absolutely, yeah. Together we can all make a huge difference, even though it's a little different.
Yeah.
So Eddie, you said we got a donation, and this was sort of the one I had from last month, which is the top number there has definitely changed now. But what this all boils down to, what he's saying here, is that if y'all shop on Amazon, and there's the link right there, smile.amazon.com, and you pick our Astronomy Society as your charity, every dollar you spend will get 0.5% of that. It doesn't come out of your pocket; it comes out of Jeff Bezos's pocket, and it's a beautiful thing. Like Eddie said, you know, it's free money that we get as a club, and that you can help us generate just by shopping on Amazon if you enjoy Amazon and their services. It's a pretty cool program, Eddie, I think.
Yes, it is.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We've had some interest from new members joining the club and following up on that.
Yeah. Yep. It's even though in a time of a pandemic, we still have people wanting to be a part of our group, which is good. It shows that we're still all humans at the end of the day, and we still want to get out and do fun stuff when it's safe, and we will. We'll be back stronger than ever, I think, as a club. So I think our membership is up probably maybe at some of the higher levels that it's been.
Yeah, I think right now we're at about 45 members. I don't have my paperwork with me. I'm actually not at my house.
Wow.
But yeah, we've got about 45 members now. member families, I should say. So that's actually more than 45 members.
Fantastic.
Yeah, that's awesome stuff. So if you want to join, Eddie Trevino right here below me.
That's fantastic.
Is the man to ask, and then I'll turn it over to Chuck. And while now it's your turn, Chuck, and then but I'm going to fill the gaps with just a little bit until he starts talking, and maybe we can time this right. We'll see what happens. But Amazon Smile is a great program.
Okay, so there were some discoveries from the Parker Solar Probe recently, 5 new ones. They found a dust-free zone. The closer you get to the sun, the dust vaporizes, of course. They found magnetic switchbacks where the magnetic poles reverse as they're going away from the sun. That was pretty cool. I sent you some pictures, Will. Then they found
some of those
turbulence in the turbulence in the solar wind, and they found plasma clumping that they didn't expect. They can't explain any of this stuff. They found a transition point because the atmosphere of the sun revolves much larger than the atmosphere of the sun. It's much further out. So that spins the solar wind, and they found a transition zone from where it goes from circular to straight. And I thought that was pretty cool. And then they found a lot of small bursts that they're not visible from Earth. I think they call them campfires. So small particle events is what they're calling them. Now, on one of the YouTube things I saw, it was Launchpad Astronomy. They actually recorded some sound of the solar wind, the Parker said, and it really, some of it sounded like static, but some of it sounded pretty cool. It's worth a watch just to hear that. And
wow,
that was his bonus thing. And then they got a really good picture of this comet. Oh, I thought I wrote the name down.
maybe Neowise.
Comet Neowise.
Yeah.
Neowise. They got some good pictures there of that, and they did some processing on that. And there was also a blurb that SOHO is actually discovered 4,000 comets so far since it's been out there, 25 years.
Wow.
So I hope y'all were able to hear some of that. I don't know. Did that come through?
It did. Yeah. Yeah, it did.
Okay,
it actually came through perfectly.
good.
No glitches or anything. So that worked out. You know, perseverance is the name of the game on the internet. If you're going to do anything with technology, where you plug stuff in and power runs through circuits and whatever, man.
No doubt.
Perseverance and just sticking with it is the name of the game. So thank you, Chuck. That came through perfect, man.
Very good, Chuck. Thanks.
Oh, thank you. The only other thing that I just ran. Oh, you're welcome. The only other thing that I ran across that I thought was interesting was that the sun is loud, but there is no atmosphere to transmit the sound. But they estimate that at the Earth that the sound of the sun would be 100 dB, a little quieter than an average rock concert.
Wow.
93 million miles away.
Wow. That is something I did not know, actually. That sounds fascinating, though. 100 dB at 93 million miles. That, man.
I guess I'm not understanding how they measure sound in the vacuum of space.
Well, I would guess it would be like a calculation because they can't, right? It's a vacuum, so there's no transmission of sound, but
there is
maybe that's the sound of the solar wind hitting their detectors.
Maybe it could be.
I don't know. Interesting.
Pressure waves. Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting anyway.
That is very interesting. Thank you, Chuck. That's great stuff. See, that's stuff that I didn't
Sure.
know and or prepare. So you the man. You are the man. I'm so glad we were able to get you in tonight and get you on the thing. So we'll just keep rolling here then.
Thank you.
Uh, if you do want to join, it's $30 a year, but we will prorate you if it's your first year, and you want to be a member of an astronomy club in the corner of Texas. We would love to have you. We have a newsletter every month, which we're going to talk about, and we do all kinds of fun events where we bring our scopes to schools and libraries and out into the middle of the woods out here in East Texas. It's good fun. If you do want to join, though, get with me, get with Eddie, or get with Chuck, whichever one you can get a hold of first, and we will all coordinate and get you rolling.
Yep.
And keep on rolling. So normally we do this thing at CLAIBORNE Park, which is it's a park that's, you know, just down the road from most of us. But since 2020 is what it is, most of these dates, if not all of them, are canceled or at least postponed until next year. So we will talk about that as, you know, more time goes, and we will continue to monitor the situation every month as a club and make the best call we can. As well as all of our outreach events, which we normally do every year. I just put these up to, again, remind people what we do. We're an astronomy club that brings our equipment, our own personal gear, Eddie's telescope, my telescope, Chuck's telescope. We go out to the public and we show them the moon or Jupiter or Saturn. That's what we do as a club. And that's our main goal, our main purpose, really, as a club, is to do astronomy for ourselves and for the public. And that's what we do. But not right now. No outreach events are coming your way from the Astronomical Society of Southeast Texas. Not for a little bit, anyway. We do have a loaner scope program like most clubs our size. If you join the club and you are local, you are able to loan these out for free of charge. It just comes with your dues. And you know, if you want a little 8-inch telescope to scan the night sky, we have that. If you take a little safety course, you can take home the 50 millimeter hydrogen alpha solar telescope. Pretty cool. It's a great club we got here. Great members. We'll just keep on rolling here. There's some of the club perks that you get if you join the newsletter, which we'll talk about again in a second. Astronomical League Awards, which are also, we'll probably talk about that in a second. You keep our club running. You get on the mailing list to know where we're going to be. And you're part of an actual scientific community, which is really cool. And you get a Reflector magazine, which is I think 4 times a year, comes from the Astronomical League itself. It's a great publication. And it's fun to read when you get an award for the Astronomical League Awards program. Your name gets listed in the back of the magazine. It's cool. It's cool to see your name in print. And you can look through for your friends, which is what I do now. And I'm like, oh, there's Eddie or there's whoever, you know. You can kind of look in there and see your friends, which is cool.
I will say one of my favorite parts of the club, Will, is interacting with fellows that enjoy the same hobby that I do. I'm constantly learning things from them. Like we just learned from Chuck, something I never knew before. And it's just a great teaching environment.
I agree. I joined the club in 2009, and it completely changed my visual observing, the way I take in information. Like Eddie said, you know, it completely changed that. And it changed how I go about observing, you know, not just my observing, but how I go about it. Do I lay a tarp down? Do I do it a certain way? You know, where do I put my table at night? You know, I mean, these are things you learn from other astronomers out in the field while you're doing it. It's really cool. So I agree. This is a great club to be a part of for sure. So, whoops, I keep going to the wrong computer here. Technology. This is coming up, guys. This is this morning. So if you're an early riser or a late go to bedder, I don't know which one is more hilarious. An early riser or late go to bedder. If you are awake in the pre-dawn hours of tomorrow morning, yeah, they both have their cons, that's for sure. But yeah, you'll be able to see this. This is pretty cool. You're gonna have the moon and Venus pretty close together. I think maybe 2 or 3 moon diameters apart or so, and they're going to be pretty close, pretty nice. You'll be seeing Orion's belt and the Pleiades and Taurus and all that fun stuff. And what's cool is if you notice there, I highlighted 2 stars, Procyon and Sirius, which are Canis Major and Canis Minor, or Canis, however you want to say it. These are the dog stars. And notice that they're pretty level with the horizon. And when they get in the sky, one's sort of above the other is the way it appears. One's more north. But we live on a ball, on the side of a ball, so that they're at the horizon, they are level. And what's cool is they call this the dog days of summer because at the end of summer, the winter constellations, which are normally Canis Major and Minor, they're normally winter constellations because those stars are rising before the sun. They call this the dog days of summer, which I've always heard that, as a kid growing up, and I just thought it meant it was like hot as a dog outside or something. I don't know. I never really got it. But it turns out it's because of the stars. And I've reported on this a few times in the club before, but every year since then, for about 3 or 4 or 5 years or so, I've wanted to bring it up because it's always fun, and I always forget about it. And then friends of mine will remind me, like, "Oh, the dog days of summer are coming." It's like, "Oh, yeah, you're right." Yeah. So here it is, and this is why they call it that. That's the dog days of summer. Which, hey, use it if you want to, and if you don't, that's cool too. I mean, make it your thing. Make astronomy your thing. So, but that is coming. The moon and Venus are going to be super close, y'all. It's going to be a super beautiful photograph. If you do have a chance to get that thin crescent moon with that big bright, and Venus is bright over there. I don't know if y'all been up in the morning.
It's very bright.
It is just beautiful over there. And get out with your cameras. Get a view, or binoculars even. I bet it would be great in binoculars. That is this morning. So either don't go to bed or go take a nap and wake up and catch it. Don't miss it, y'all. Don't miss it. This might show up okay. Yeah, it shows up pretty well on the screen. It's a little dark on my screen, but I had to post this. I'm not exactly sure the source on this. It was a photographer from Facebook somewhere, and I apologize that I didn't get the name to credit it. Usually people will watermark their stuff. I do appreciate when they don't. Then you get a pretty picture without the name. But when you don't do that, I forget where I get things. So I apologize to the astronomer who took this picture. But this is Neowise. This is the comet Chuck was just referring to earlier, the comet we've all been watching and kind of like, what's going on here with this thing? This thing is bright and it's not. And it's, it's over there and it's over here. And here it is, though. This is inside Coma Berenices, and it's near like my favorite galaxy in the universe besides the Milky Way. That little galaxy there, that little edge on is NGC 4565. NGC 4565, and that is the Needle Galaxy. For those of y'all that have seen it in a telescope, it's beautiful. Edge on, those ultra thin edge on galaxies are some of my favorite to look at. They're just so interesting. And there's the comet next to it. And that's just a beautiful image. You can tell how the comet has changed from its, glorious luster, just blowing out all kinds of material, to now it's just kind of a greenish blue orb, kind of a ghost just floating through our solar system, which I just find super fascinating. And I hope y'all all got a chance to get out and view this comet because it's on its way out. Okay, so ISS passes, and I do these for Beaumont, Texas. So again, if you're not in our local area down here in Beaumont, the Beaumont area, this may not apply to you, but you can still use this website to go find this information. Where I pull this from is heavensabove.com, and they have a really cool satellite tracker tool, which I did a video on my channel about, which is very nice. You can bring it out on your cell phone or your iPad or your computer or whatever, and see the what satellites are up. If you see one, you're like, oh, what is that? You can look on the app, and there it is. It's very cool. But here's the ones for the International Space Station. It's the biggest satellite that's up there, I think, that we know of, at least. And it's going to fly over Beaumont, Texas area. The best one is August 22nd there, you see. You usually want to look at the middle, the highest point column there in the middle, and that'll usually tell you how high, like at what degrees the International Space Station is going to go. So if you see the top middle one there says 15 degrees, that's going to be a super low pass versus the 61 degrees, which is almost overhead. It's still 30 degrees off because 90 is straight up above you. So that's going to be a good pass at negative 3.3 magnitude. That's going to be a very good pass. That's in the morning, though. Again, you got to be an early riser or a late go-to-bedder for that one. That's at 6:03 a.m. is when that starts, and at 6:07 will be the peak of that one. And then I think there was a couple more toward the end of August, but notice they're all morning.
Wow.
None of them are evening, which is the way it goes. You get trends where it changes here and there. And the best one is August 25th, which is negative 3.8. That is bright right there. Nice and bright. And at 5:20, you can see if you read along that line, 5:20:46, it is at its highest point at 64 degrees, which is really cool. And if you go to heavensabove.com and you plug in your latitude and longitude and all that, it'll give you all this for the ISS, for Starlink, for whatever you want to see or don't want to see. And then you can go into these little options and click on these blue sections, and it'll take you to a sort of a flat planetarium mode where it'll show the constellations in the sky, and it'll show the arc of the space station or whatever it is you're looking for. So then you know kind of where to, you're like, okay, it's over there by Hercules, so I'm going to watch Hercules, and then your satellite will come across there. So it works really well. It's a great tool to use, and it's an invaluable tool. I love heavensabove.com. Check it out. And those are your ISS passes. Yeah. One thing I want to mention real quick while we have a second here.
Very cool.
The Asset Stargazer, which is our monthly newsletter produced by Mr. Howard Miner, one of the best amateur astronomers I know. And it is a great publication. And let's see. I want to see if I can bring it up here. Maybe I can stop sharing that and share my screen and find it. I know I got it somewhere in here. Of course, everything hides itself here. Give me 1 second, y'all. Oh, there we go. There it is. Okay, I got it. There we go. Now we can see it, right? Yeah. So this is our Stargazer, and you can see there's articles in here. Now, Howard had been asking for articles, and I think Eddie got $1, maybe, and then somebody else got $1, because I think Eddie was the one that put his stuff in first, and he was able to get it in there. And let's see here. Yeah, so you can see Howard goes through and does some awesome stuff. He talks about our online meetings, which we're having, and then he's got some of the articles that he received from various members of the club. Eddie coming in, Lori Sell, Doug. Doug took an awesome view of the comment. I wonder if I can zoom in on that, if it scales.
Yeah.
Does it? Okay, good. Awesome. Look at that. Yeah, not
Yeah,
a bad image. And that's the comment. I think it was probably maybe a couple of weeks ago when he took this, maybe up to 3 weeks or so. So it was still pretty bright. It was still a lot closer to the sun. But this is a great image. You see that blue-green kind of starting, right? Whereas it really sort of has like a whitish yellow appearance. But then that blue-green and the comet, the nucleus there is starting to start, which is really cool. And I think that's really cool that Doug was able to bring that out. Doug Dornier is a great photographer. He's one of our better outreach guys. He's better than me. He brings a whole table full of telescopes the kids can manipulate and have fun with. Doug's a great guy. We miss Doug. Miss seeing him at all the meetings. Bill Christian coming in with a little article there, and even Howard Miner got in on the fun. And then you can see that he's just got all kinds of facts. Like Howard digs through astronomy stuff all day long and finds these amazing facts, and just kind of amalgamates them into one place for you. So there's like Eddie said earlier, you do these clubs because somebody's going to bring up something you didn't even have an interest in until they said something and then told you more about it. That's exactly what it is with the newsletter. You read something in here and you're like, man, I didn't even think about that, but that makes total sense. Like the coat hanger here, how to see the coat hanger. It's a very famous asterism, and it's one that you should definitely check out. It's visible naked eye in a dark enough place. I've definitely seen the coat hanger naked eye. With binoculars, you're like, oh yeah, that is a definite coat hanger. And I mean, even here, you can see it upside down image. You can see the part where you hang your shirt, and then the part where you hang it on the rod or whatever. That's the coat hanger. I mean, there's no other way around it, right? So that's just a happen chance of stars that aligned, just so we could call it a coat hanger. And that's what we call an asterism. those are fun. But again, he's just got all kinds of amazing articles in here. He's got a James Webb update, which is good because I didn't prepare one. But he says that October 31st, 2021, Halloween is the suspected launch for the James Webb. Y'all, Halloween of next year. I'm willing to wait for it if everything works, because that's going to be an incredible, not only incredible date, but an incredible tool for humanity. That thing, which is the fact that it's going up on Halloween, just makes me so excited, and it almost makes me want to plan a trip to, is it Papua New Guinea or something, or I forget, French Guiana. Yeah, French Guiana. I'm gonna plan a trip down there to watch this thing go. Because I mean, can you imagine being at that launch? That would be fantastic. But
we're gonna have one chance to launch it right, because after it's in space, it's gone. We won't be able to interact with it at all except through radio signal.
Yeah, and at 4 times the distance of the moon, I believe it is, or so, something like that. That's a long way from home. So you're talking several second delay between the time you send the code out to the time it gets it and does the task that you had it do. So pretty amazing stuff. So thank you, Howard, for putting this together. I mean, look at this. I mean, this is page after page of cool stuff. You get this as a member of the Astronomy Club, and it's definitely worth it. You know, he puts in here stuff about random astronomers who none of us may have heard of. Maria Mitchell. I had never really heard of this person. And you can see they came around, you know, was born 1818, you know, through 1889. This was a few years before a lot of us were born, right? So, you know, this is an astronomer we should remember, and it's cool that Howard does this stuff. And then, of course, he always wraps it up with this, which is really cool. Again, Howard points out the dog days of summer. And yes, they are here. This meeting is right here. This is where we're at. So that's the only thing that I saw. But when I saw this, I was like, oh no, because it was like here, I think, and I was like, wait, is the meeting this Friday? Okay, no, it was the second Friday of every month. Okay, all right. We're good. But it's an amazing thing. So Howard, great job on the newsletter. Never stop. We appreciate every article and everything you're doing in there, for sure.
Without a doubt. Thank you, Howard.
Yes, Howard. Excellent job.
And I am currently trying to get back on. Let me remove this. Okay, and let me
see. Lonnie got some new equipment down here.
Yeah, let's see that. Yeah, it says 3.5 millimeter eyepiece, and the clouds are really close in my 8-inch dog. Yes, that'll do it. That will bring those clouds closer. Let's see, okay, that's not it. Okay, I just have to reset it. Sorry, guys. Sometimes these softwares are fun to mess with in the middle of a live stream. But there you go. There's the Stargazer. We got a couple more things here, and then we'll be pretty much done. I think Eddie's got an awesome solar report for us. But before we get to that, the Okie-Tex Star Party has been canceled, unfortunately, but probably through good reason. So hopefully 2021 will roll around, and we'll all be back out in the wilderness of Oklahoma, observing the sky together. And
that's the darkest sky I have ever been in at that star party.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, there is not a town for 40 miles either direction. Yeah. And like Lonnie says, Jane Miner really helps on the newsletter. Absolutely. Jane is a huge help on that. We miss Howard and Jane, especially at Okie-Tex. And you know, it's a great star party. It will be back. I guarantee y'all, it'll be back, and better than ever, just like everything else. You know, if we just wait this thing out, do what we got to do until it's good and gone, we're going to be back in business. But
speaking of Jane, I believe Howard's title is publisher, and she's the editor-in-chief.
Ah.
So
yeah,
let's give her the proper title there.
Editor at large, or editor in chief, yeah, and then Howard is just the guy that He's like, is this article good enough? She's like, I
Oh
don't know
no,
about
in cheap, in cheap.
that. Yeah, and then Bill says, what, no refreshments? No. Well, I think Eddie had refreshments tonight, but he's out of town, so he wasn't able to do it. So he was gonna
They're all on the table out here, guys. It's whenever you're ready.
he's gonna take individual Oreos and push them through the webcam for us.
Come get it.
So you'll all have weird Oreo crumbs coming through your computers momentarily. So whether you want it or not, you're getting refreshments. Carl Dunn says, I've never been to a star party, ready to go to one. Carl, I guarantee you it's going to change your life. A great one to start with is the one I'm about to talk about next, which is the El Dorado Star Party, Carl. I think that one is the one you should start with. It's not huge. It's not small. It's like a Goldilocks zone as far as that goes. And it's a beautiful star party. The skies are very nice, but they're pretty close to us here in the Southeast Texas sort of region. Let's talk about it here in a second. Let's get to Howard says, you're right, Eddie. Yeah, I mean, we got to call it like it is. And Jane definitely keeps Howard in where he needs to be. Keeps him on the straight and narrow. That's how it's supposed to be, right? But the El Dorado Star Party is coming up, y'all. We're at August 14th. This is October 12th. So you have a couple of months, which seems crazy to talk about October in a couple of months, but it's just right around the river bend. El Dorado is an amazing star party. It's small. It's very it's not very the light pollution isn't the best, but it isn't the worst at all either. It's maybe a little bit brighter than TSP, or the Texas Star Party, I should say. Definitely a little bit brighter than Okie-Tex, but it's not bad. It's definitely observable, especially if you're an astrophotographer. If you're a visual guy like me and Eddie and Chuck, then you're probably going to be just fine out at the X-Bar Ranch, which is where the El Dorado Star Party is being held. Now, they do have some coronavirus statements out, and I looked, and I think this statement is pretty much the one that they had earlier. Basically, the Star Party is going forward, but with some additional stuff. The mask wearing is mandatory inside all buildings, what I read earlier. And you can go to eldoradostarparty.org and get all this information live and in person. But it is mandatory to wear your mask inside the lodge or inside any of the tent areas or whatever. Mask wearing outside of that near your telescope is optional, although preferred. They want people to set their telescopes up about 15 feet from each other, which at a certain point is doable. It wasn't a problem at what would have been Texas Star Party, but we called it West Texas Star Party. People were very spread out there because we had the whole field to ourselves. So whenever you wanted to tell somebody, hey, have you seen NGC? You're yelling at them across the field. It was literally what it was, but it was fun. But it'll be a similar situation there. And basically they're asking if you've tested positive after the middle of September, don't come. Obviously, you want to infect all your fellow astronomers. And if you've been infected a little bit before that, they're asking that you don't come. Or if you're over 65 and have a lot of respiratory problems, it's probably a better idea that you don't come and gather in a group with everybody coming from all over. These are some self-regulation things that you can do, and I think we can make it work if everybody spreads out and we all just wash our hands and quit spitting in each other's faces while we're talking to each other, and I think it'll be just fine. But that's the way we're going to stop this thing. George says, and it's the only one not canceled. That's right. Yeah, because Okie-Tex got canceled. El Dorado is still going forward. So if you want to observe, this is your one ticket basically for 2020 at this point. And again, it's a great star party. It is going to be very, very different this year. We're all just going to have to adapt and overcome and sort of make it work. And I think we will. I think it'll be just fine. I think, Eddie, are you still planning on joining us out there in the...
That's my plan, Will. I've got to go get my scopes gathered and make my arrangements to be there. My understanding is there's not going to be any T-shirts this year, and also there are not going to be any day of registrations. If you're not pre-registered, I don't think you're going to be able to make it. Or
that's beautiful information to have, because you don't want to show up and not be able to get in, right?
right.
Yeah. Lonnie says, is a limit of people possible? Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And they'll be pretty strict about it, I'm sure. Typically on the lodge field, those of us that set up down there's usually only about 20 or so of us down there. Most of everybody else sets up at the main field, which is a little bit south of the lodge field. And there's plenty of room down there for everybody to space out, literally and metaphorically. And there's almost as much room as at the lodge. But they'll be able to make it work for sure. And they're capping it off where if you don't respond by August 23rd, and I'm glad this came up because this is another piece that I just remembered. If you don't respond to your reservation by August 23rd, they're going to cancel you and give your reservation to someone else. So if you have a camper spot or whatever you have, a cabin, a motel, the roundhouse, whatever you have reserved for El Dorado, if you don't tell them you're coming by August 23rd, you're not going. So tell them. We all got emails today about that, which this year is a very fluid year. We got to kind of do what we got to do, right? So I'm already registered. I'm ready to go, and I'm excited to be there. I'll be there in my RV, so I'll be, you can talk to me through the window probably, and I might say hi. Yeah, I hope to see all of you guys, all of you normal El Doradoers out there at El Dorado, because it is a great star party, and hopefully in 2021 we have a normal one, which would be great. And we'll just keep on rolling. So here we are at this part of the thing, which is, I don't know why my little animation stops every time I go from one screen to another, but the sun rotates. I don't know if some of y'all knew that, but Eddie, wow. I know, right? Eddie's going to tell us
that.
Like last year,
like that, though.
I think. It's definitely not glitched like that. What I'm going to do then is turn over the mic to my main man, Eddie Trevino. I'm gonna leave that up there. Let's see, but I can turn this over to you, Eddie. Do you have anything you need to screen share, or are you just going to tell us about the sun?
I've got some screen sharing to do.
Okay, let me remove mine. Howard Miner says, "Hi, Lonnie. We miss you and Janie." It's cool that we can all gather here, even though we're all separate and all doing our own things due to social distancing. We're still all here together, which is.
I'm gonna turn on a room light. It's getting kind of dark in here.
Yeah. Well, we are astronomers. That was always my excuse for people who are like, why is your lighting so bad? I'm an astronomer. I like it dark.
Much better.
There you go.
Okay. Well, this is going to be the August solar report, and as you can see from the graph or the picture here, we're deep in the solar minimum. And one of the things about the data that we gather is that it's always backwards looking, because we've got to gather so much data 6 months back, and we don't know we're in the deepest solar minimum on record since 1920 something until today. So this is looking like it was a really, really record-breaking solar minimum, but we're coming out of it, and so that's a good report. So I made a little calendar here, and it shows some of July and some of August. And as you can see, beginning of July, we had a very dry run of no spots. So this is the first spotless day, and a total of 140 for the year. Here's the second, 141, and so on. Not until the 22nd did we start seeing a spot, and things got really exciting then, because the yellow boxes are 1 spot, the orange boxes are 2 spots, and over here on the 2nd of August, maybe 3. Let's look and see. So I'm going to start back on July the 6th. It was 2766, a very small spot. I had to circle it. I don't know if you can see it. It's right there. And the very next day, it disappeared.
Okay.
So we had a blank sun for a good run of days. But the interesting thing about this particular spot is it reappeared with the same number. And I've never seen that before. Usually if a spot disappears and then another spot comes back, it's got a different number. But we'll see why this one had the same number in a bit. So that was on the 10th of July, and nothing happened exciting until the 21st of July. You remember that dry run we had at the beginning of July? So we started seeing some active regions coming off the limb of the sun around the edge. It hadn't had a number assigned to it yet, but it was a pretty big one. And as you can see, it's going in this direction. And this is a magnetogram. So you see the negative area leading the positive area in the southern hemisphere, which is indicative that it's a new solar cycle sunspot, solar cycle 25. So it did get named on the 22nd. It's 2767, and you can see it's a pretty big spot. You don't see it here because I didn't put it in, but that is as big as the Earth, if not bigger. That is a huge sunspot compared to what we've seen. We've only seen a dozen or so this year. So the days rocked on, 2767 walked across the face of the sun, and we started seeing some more active region. Did it get named? It did. It got named 2768. So here on the 29th of July, we have 2 sunspots, which is very exciting considering we're just getting off a solar minimum. So 2 sunspots on the sun, good news. And they're gonna go across the sun. And here's where it gets really exciting. I said on the first, we may have had 3. There's 2767 about ready to roll off the limb. There's 2768, very small, but it's there. And there's 27, well, it didn't get named just yet. And it's got to be observed by several observatories on Earth before it can get named. So that was, we just considered it a new active region. There's a magnetogram of it. There's 2767, 2768 was in this area. And I don't know if you can see it, but they named it right there. So in my mind, that's 3 sunspots on that day. Exciting news.
Yeah.
Only the bad thing is, by the time they named 2769, 2768 had disappeared. So that magnetogram, although it's an active region, there's no sunspot there. So we're back down to 2, 2767 and 2769. So that rocked on a few days. 2767 went off the edge, and we ended up with another one, 2770, which was another big sunspot, but still more activity than we're accustomed to seeing, and it sure beats the blank sun days. So here was 2770 before it got named, coming on right after 2769. And as you can see, they've got the same polarity, which indicates it's a new solar cycle sunspot. And then by the time 2770 got good and started, 69 had gone. So now we're back down to 1 sunspot, and it rocked on all the way across until we saw 71. This was yesterday. 71 is there, and we see something getting ready to happen here and here. We're not sure what. We got to wait and see. 27, they didn't name it. This is today. There's 2771, and there's that area that's kind of, there's 71, and we don't know what's happening here. We don't know what's happening here, but something. Maybe tomorrow they'll get named, and we'll have 3 sunspots. We just got to wait and see. So, I want to talk about a little bit. I'm going to show you some video, and the video that I'm going to show you was taken by this Solar Dynamics Observatory, and it's a NASA spacecraft, and I thought it was circling the sun, but it's not. It's in a geosynchronous Earth orbit. Look at that in a bit, but it was launched 20 years ago. So the two data collectors that we're concerned with are the Atmospheric Imaging Assembly and the Helioseismic Magnetic Imager. I'm going to show you some video from both of those. So remember I said it was a geocentric orbit? So there's the Earth rotating and it's going around and it's staying over the same point, almost. This is actually what it's doing. It's over the same area of the Earth, but it's doing this little figure 8 dance. Pretty cool, I thought.
Wow.
But still, it's orbiting the Earth, which I did think the Solar Dynamics Observatory did that, but it does. So here's a magnetogram. It's starting.
I didn't know that.
It's starting July the 19th, and I've got the Earth here for size. So you're going to see, this is a real finicky video, so I'm going to try my best to tell you what's going on. So I'm going to start it. There's 2767 rolling on right there, and it's a pretty big one. So it comes on. There's 2768 coming on. So here's 1, there's 2. And there's where we thought we had 3, 2767, 68, and 69. Only 68 dissipated. That's 69. There's 2770. And I'm going to try to catch it right here at the end. There's 70, there's 71. I'm just going to let it run on through. That's 71, and those are those active regions that are coming on. So that's the magnetogram, and that was taken by that Solar Dynamics Observatory, one of the, well, it was the part of the atmospheric sensor. So here's a white light, and I'm just going to roll this on, see if you can catch all the, I'll try, there's 67, 68, 69 that's 70. It's a big one. See how big it is compared to the Earth? And then it's real hard to see them in this light, but that was the white light of all of the sunspots. So here's a different view, and again, I'll just roll this one on through. There's 67, 68, 69, there's 70, and then the bottom left, there's 71. Again, you get pretty good size. These videos are all different wavelengths, so different angstrom units, and the information's down here. I don't really want to get into that because it's not that interesting to me. I like different wavelengths, and that's all I'm going to say.
There you go.
Here's something that you probably is closest to the hydrogen alpha telescope view. So this is one of my favorite views because it's going to show a lot of prominences on the side of the sun. And you'll really notice them when they come off this side because they're pretty big. There's 67, 68 at the top left, 69, 70. And then bottom left, you're going to see 71. And that's it. Look at these prominences. Look at the size of the Earth. That's amazing. Anyway, that's the Solar Dynamics Observatory. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Oh, one more. Why not?
Yeah, that one's really, the gold is amazing.
Yeah. You see all these magnetic fluxes, you know, all this magnetism and plasma and solar material just dancing around these magnetic field lines. That's incredible.
Yeah, I think we forget a lot of times that, you know, the sun is a star.
Right.
And it's the most nearby star. And it's pretty, I mean, we have some of the best telescopes in space that can look at it. It's really cool.
Well, here's a new one. This
Oh, no.
just launched.
But we still
This one just launched. It's the
DSA?
Solar Orbiter. This one is actually going to orbit the sun. It's always going to face the same direction, and these will tilt towards Earth, but it's got protection, and it's going to get really close. In fact, it's the closest spacecraft we have towards the sun that's sending back images. I think at the time of the pictures that I'm going to show you was 48 million miles away from the sun. And it's a collaboration between the European Space Agency and NASA. So this is just a little video. It took off from Earth. There's Mercury, there's Venus. You can see how close it gets within the orbits of Mercury and Venus. I'm not going to play the entire thing, just it's interesting how it uses the planets to get a gravity assist and pull it back in, get it real close. But we anticipate some really good images from this. And here's one of them. This is a video that it took, and it's one of the closest images we have of the sun. And they were surprised to find these small lights. They call them campfires. I'll start the video.
Campfire.
Yeah. But I anticipate if this spacecraft survives the environment, we're going to get some spectacular images and maybe increase our understanding of what's happening. We had no idea these little campfires were there. These are much smaller than the other features that we are accustomed to seeing. Now, it's got some dots here that are just artifacts of the sensor. So don't be alarmed, it's not aliens or anything like that. But some really good campfires. That's all I can think of what they're like. Once that image plants in your mind, that's all you see.
Yeah, they really do look like they're just a tiny little, actually a really tall bonfire or something, but it's occupying a very narrow space. That's incredible.
This circle
Really
down
hot,
at the bottom
dude.
left, that's the Earth size.
Wow.
So they're still huge compared to the Earth, but they're small compared to some of the other features that we're accustomed to seeing. There's that little dark image. It's an artifact. Pay no attention to that.
Yeah. That's swamp gas.
Yeah.
Reflecting off Venus.
Anyway, so that's the newest. I'm looking forward to more images from this spacecraft.
Wow. And what'd you say the name of that spacecraft is again, Eddie?
It's the Solar
That's
Orbiter.
cool, Eddie.
It's a collaboration with the European Space Agency and NASA. And it just lifted off February this year, I believe.
So this is brand new. And how you said it uses Venus to kind of like push itself in and slow itself down. And it's just fantastic how they use the planets to change the orbits like that. It's something that you don't really think about. You think, well, if you want to launch something to the sun, well, you just shoot it over there toward the sun. That's not a wise idea. And
you actually have to, even with
Parker's doing that all as well with Venus to slow it down, actually.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. So we've got the Parker, we've got this little guy, we still have SOHO up there, which SOHO is an older observatory, but it is still, a viable option there. And we've got the SDO, the Solar Dynamics Observatory. There's also Stereo A and B. I don't know if y'all remember those that we launched around
Stereo.
to go behind the sun and then crisscross and come back around. Those are still out there. And there's maybe a couple of other solar probes. They're also planning to, in the future, on the International Space Station, the Bartholomew edition that went up with CRS-20, the SpaceX launch right before the crewed launch. There's talk about them putting some external solar telescopes on Bartholomew, or however you say it, on the International Space Station. Again, it's an outside module. It's sort of mounted to the exterior of the ISS. And it looks like they're going to try to put some heliophysics observatories on there to check out the sun, which I think is pretty cool. So, it looks like we're the interest by humanity to study our nearest star.
That's interesting.
Yeah, we're pretty dedicated to that. If the sun were to go away, it'd be a bad day for Earth. No pun intended. But that would be the worst thing that could happen to us for sure.
Yeah, we would stop having day without the sun.
Yeah, it would be no day at all. It would be a very bad thing that ended days. The day that ends the days.
Event.
Very good, Eddie. Thank you for that report, man. We appreciate that.
Yeah, sure.
That was excellent, Eddie. Thank you.
Yeah, round of applause. Round of applause. It's always good to know what the sun is doing again, and Eddie keeps us abreast on what's going on during the pandemic and stuff. And sometimes even Bill Christian at our meetings. He used to be the solar guy, but having him on the thing, we could probably get him on here. We probably should one day. It
sparked my interest in the sun. Yeah.
Yeah.
Glass telescope just to look at it, and equipment to look at it.
Yeah. We're a very solar club, solar oriented. We do solar outreach, believe it or not. We bring solar telescopes out and let people look through those at a lot of events around here in Southeast Texas. So we pay a lot of attention to the sun, and it's good that it's waking back up because it's been really boring lately. Like, hey, little kid, look at this orange ball in a telescope.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, like that's the sun. It's actually really a stunning image, but I understand where your lackluster response is coming from. So next, sort of thing. But as the sun starts getting those spots on it, we'll be able to be like, yeah, you see that little black spot? Yeah, it's the size of Earth or two, so which is always fun. But thank you, Eddie. That was great stuff. Okay, we'll just gloss over the Observing Club Awards. We'll talk about that again in more detail next month. I kind of want to do a little spot on some of these clubs coming up as the months go by. So I think that'll be a perfect opportunity for next month. But just know that they're a thing that you can do. The James Webb Space Telescope update was done by Mr. Howard Miner. Let us know that it's going to be October 31st, 2021. So Halloween 2021, that thing right there is going to fly and hopefully bring us some of the best images humanity has ever caught of space. Before we go, I would like to do this. Let's see. Where did my window go here? Okay. And then I have to reshare. There we go. So I got a late entry for tonight's thing, but we're more than happy to accommodate Mr. Carl Dunn, brand new asset member and budding amateur photographer. I think he's just now kind of getting his feet wet in astrophotography. I could be wrong about that. He may have been doing it for a few years, but at any rate, there's an image of that's C2020 F3, I believe, NEOWISE, the one we were talking about earlier. If I got the telephone number correctly on that comment, but that's the one that I think we were all kind of tracking earlier. Now he says, actually he sent me it. He says Comet NEOWISE C2020 F3. He took this with a Celestron AVX 150 millimeter. SS15, I guess that's shutter speed 15, ISO 400, location 49 North, 81 West. So that's Lacon, Illinois. I'll butcher your name if you gave it to me, Lacon, Illinois. But very cool, Carl.
Great image, Carl.
Nice pinpoint stars. I mean, they are elongated, but they're in focus, so you can kind of see how they trail, but how the comet is, just perfectly still. It's a beautiful image, and I think there may still be time to kind of check this comet out. So if it's something you're into, get online and see if you can figure out where it may be, and see if you can get at it with binoculars. I haven't looked at it in a long time, so I'm not exactly sure if it's binocular or if it's telescopic at this point. It should still be visible in a fair sized telescope, no problem. If it is indeed above the horizon where you're at, because the horizon plays a part in this, right? You can't see under it. It's actually Laken, he says. Laken, yeah. He says he is new and he's open to any help. So if any of y'all astrophotographers out there want to help out Carl, it looks like he's on the right track though. Everything looks like it's working for you, Carl. And, we all got to start somewhere. If I showed you some of my first images, you'd probably laugh, because they're that bad. And I ought to scan some of them because these were back on film believe it or not. This was before the days of digital, when I was outside holding the shutter down on a 35 millimeter camera, because I knew that it would work. And my star images were squirrely and squiggly lines, but I was so happy to get those photos 3 days later from when I turned the negatives in, which is hilarious. Remember back in those days where you had to bring the film down, wait, and then get your images back like 4 days later, like, oh, I was out of focus. It's like, it's not like that now, right? You get immediate focus and you're good to go.
Yeah, instant feedback.
Yeah. So for some last minute comments here as we close it out, we got Howard Miner saying, very good, Carl. Howard, he signed it. I love it, Howard. When you get an endorsement from Howard that's signed like that, it's an A-OK response. So, and then Joe says, it was still binocular when I last looked at it on the 6th. So it's the 14th. It's about a week. Now, I heard it was getting about 0.2 magnitude dimmer every day as it gets further and further away from the sun. So it still should be binocular, if not just telescope, but it should definitely be telescope still for sure. So thank you, Joe, for that. Carl says, thanks, Howard. Next purchase is an eyepiece camera. Yeah, those are an interesting tool, especially if you like doing outreach. That's a great tool to have for sure. And one of Joe's comments I missed earlier, my favorite asterism is Auriga's smiley face, which I'm not sure I'm familiar with, but I'll have to look that up. Have you not seen that one, Eddie?
No.
No?
I'm wondering, is it in a globular cluster? I know Auriga has several globular clusters.
That's true. Yeah, some of the like the M30s or M20s in that range, somewhere in there, I feel like. Interesting. Yeah. Send us
homework.
Yeah, send us that, Joe, if you would, after the program, and we'll check it out. Maybe we'll add it to the meeting for next time. I mean, that's all I have for this evening. What I will do is I'll turn it over to Chuck first to see if he has anything else, because I know he's going to hear us in like 10 seconds and then start responding. So let's see if Chuck has anything, and then we'll go to Mr. Eddie Trevino and close her out for the evening.
Well, it's really nice to meet with y'all guys without wearing a mask.
Yeah, I'm wearing a microphone.
I've really enjoyed it. Yeah.
Well, good, Chuck. I'm so glad we were able to at least get you in here and at least get you partially with us. I mean, you're here, but it's kind of like you're on the moon. It just takes a while for the signal to get out and back. But yeah, it's great to have you, Chuck. Good to see. Can't wait to see you back in person. And Mr. Eddie Trevino, any parting words, any words of advice you have for us?
Me too. It's getting lonely out here.
Being a part of this streaming online meeting is really keeping me going during this time. It's hard. I don't have all my equipment because we're not at home right now, but it's doing a lot to keep me focused and keep my interest up. And it's really does my heart good to see everybody and to hear from everyone. I appreciate that. I miss my astronomy friends.
Absolutely. I feel that sentiment very much.
Thank you for pulling this together another month, Will. Good job.
Yeah, no problem. I mean, hey, we're just doing what we can with the times that we're given, right? I mean, none of us asked for a pandemic, but we got it. It was the card we drew as a species, and so we're playing that card. We're playing that card, and I think we're playing it pretty well. It's actually been, these have been a lot of fun. It's opened up some doors for us. It's a little bit of a deviation from the norm, but it's not a horrible thing. It's just a thing. And, I think we're all dealing with it pretty well, and we're making the best out of it. So I appreciate all you guys joining us when you can. And it's always fun. Next month will be the September meeting. It'll be, I didn't look at the dates. I think it's somewhere around the 11th, maybe, or I feel like I don't have a calendar on. Like, up and ready for this, unfortunately. But it'll be September 11th exactly. So that's the second Friday. So more than likely we will be right here on September 11th, if not the 12th. You know, we can move it. We always play with the dates because, you know, we're online now. We can do what we want, right? But we do appreciate all of y'all hanging out with us, coming in for another astronomy meeting. For those of y'all that aren't a member of our club that just hang out with us on a second Friday of every month online, thank you. Thank you for stopping by and spending your evening with us. You know, again, we're just a group of amateur astronomers from Beaumont, Texas that like to get together and talk space. And that's what we did. We got together and we talked space. So as far as we're concerned, coronavirus hasn't affected astronomy for ASTET at all. Really, we're still out here strong, doing our thing, having a good time doing it. And Sharon says, I miss you guys. Have a great night. Stay well. You too, Sharon. Appreciate you stopping by, hanging out with us. Say hello to the entire family for us. And hopefully everybody over there is doing well. And I think as long as we all do what we're supposed to do, or, you know, kind of stay away from each other for a little while longer, we're all going to be just fine. And we'll get through this together. So my parting words are thank you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for hanging out with us again on a Friday night. We're in the middle of August, y'all. If there's something you need to do in August, you better get on it because time is short in this month. It'll be September before we know it. So get to it. Stay productive. Stay positive. Stay healthy. Wash your hands. Do all those important things. Wear your mask when you're out amongst others. And I'll be doing the same thing. I'll be doing all those things as well. So we'll be doing it together. I appreciate y'all. And if there's any questions y'all have, again, y'all can contact us through the Facebook page, the Astronomical Society of Southeast Texas. Please, if you shop on Amazon, we'd love your Jeff Bezos money. We'd love it. We will put it to good use. I promise you. So until September, again, go outside, get some observing in if you can, because cooler nights are coming and you want to get the rust knocked off before those great nights come, which come in the fall. So we love you guys. Thank y'all for joining us. All you ASTET members, we will see y'all on the flip side, and y'all have a great evening.
See you.